All right. Good afternoon, everybody. So let me first welcome you guys to the virtual open house for accounting and finance. I'm happy that I see one of my colleagues, Dr. Abed, here today with me. If
Good
you want to say
afternoon,
hello.
Alex. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi. So let's get started. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to put it into the chat, and then after the presentation, I will have opportunities for you guys to raise your questions as well. Right. So if you guys bear with me, I'm going to share my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good. So as I mentioned, this is the open house for accounting and finance. Let me introduce myself. My name's Alex. I'm the department chair for accounting and finance, and I'm also an associate professor of finance here at SBPA at the University of the District of Columbia. So this is my email address as my phone number as well. And if you would like to see me in person, this is my campus address, my office. We're at the Van Ness campus. So let's talk about briefly about the agenda. I'm gonna give you guys an overview about what SBPA is all about, and then I'll zoom into the programs that we offer, and then I'll talk about why UDC and why more specifically accounting and finance, and I'll share some opportunities about the scholarships and internships that we have, and then at the end I'll open it up for Q&A. And as I mentioned, if you have any questions that you think of, type it into the chat straight away. So at the end, I'll be able to access it and answer the questions accordingly. All right. So this is how the School of Business and Public Administration, SBPA for short, is structured. We're structured into two departments. I chair the accounting and finance department. There's the other department, the Department of Business Management. Within the Business Management Department, they have basically two programs. One is the BS in Hospitality and Tourism Management, and then the other one is the BBA in Business Management with various concentrations, including MIS, Marketing, and Lit. And then we also have the graduate program, the MBA. Now, over in the department here, we have two degrees. We have the BBA in accounting, which requires 124 credits to complete, and the BBA in finance, which requires 121 credits to complete. Some students will choose to, if they choose to, they can double major in accounting and finance, and that will be an additional 15 to 24 credits, depending on when the students start into the program or when they start to declare the double major. I mentioned about the Lit earlier when you have one of the concentrations for business management. This concentration is actually open also to accounting and finance students. In fact, it is open to all students at UDC. I'll talk more about that. So one of our program highlights is it's about experiential learning. So we have in the department, we have VITA program, the volunteer in tax assistance program, which we just concluded this past weekend with Dr. Abed helping out in that program as well. We also have internships associated with the program, and we also have field trips, and I'll talk more about the field trips, as well as the study abroad. We're going to start the study abroad very soon, and I'll explain more about it, more detail in the next few slides. And in some courses, there are also simulations where you actually so-called quote unquote play games or simulations to try to simulate what the real world is all about. For example, in the security analysis course, you can actually open up an account with fake money to be able to trade and buy and sell stocks. And you're actually buying and selling real stocks during trading days. The only difference is that you're using fake money, okay? So these are just the courses within each major. And I'm not going to get into the details because when you are into the major, I'll explain it to you in more details. But these are the required courses in the major. And then at the bottom are those elective courses within the major. So let's talk about the lit concentration, which is the logistics and international trade. As I mentioned, it is open to all majors, not just restricted to School of Business. An engineering student or biology major or chemistry major can also do this lit concentration. So this concentration requires 4 courses. One required course, which is the BGMT 313, which is Global Logistics and Supply Chain Management. That's one required course. And then you choose 3 more from the list below. I want to point out about that 395, BGMT 395, which is the study abroad. So during the study abroad course, you will either go to China or UK. Now, this year, yes, we are going to the UK in summer, more specifically in July. And I'll talk about it more when we get into the next couple of slides. We also have a new certificate in sustainable fintech and clean tech that requires, again, this is not a concentration within any academic program. So this is open to anybody. As long as you finish the 3 course requirement, you receive the certificate signed by the Dean of the School of Business and Public Administration. So the three course requirement, the first course is a required course. It's Finance 350, which is Financial Analytics and Models. And then you can choose 2 courses from the 3 below, and then you will be able to receive the certificate. In terms of the graduate program, we do have a proposed new graduate program. When I say proposed, that means it has not been approved yet. In other words, when you search it out on UDC's website, you won't see it. It is in the process of getting approved, and it is expected to be approved in 2023. While this program will start in 2023 or will be approved in 2023, graduate courses has already been scheduled and offered in the fall of 2022. So if you're interested to get a head start, you can actually start taking courses, graduate courses, in the fall of 2022. So this proposed master's program is what we call a Master of Science in Accounting program. It is a 30 credit hour program. In other words, it's 10 course requirement, okay? And with this 10 course requirement, there are 2 things, main things about it. Obviously, you can gain, first thing is you can gain specialized accounting knowledge. In other words, strengthen your accounting background so they better prepare you to take the CPA exam. This will also allow you to reach the 150 credit required to apply for the CPA license. Most people can complete the program in 3 semesters. It depends on individual, obviously, but we foresee most people could complete the program in 3 semesters. One of the highlights of this program is flexibility. So of the 10 courses required, 8 required courses, and there are 2 electives that you can choose. So from the elective side, you can either do, if you're interested in doing tax preparation, for example, helping people file taxes, you can participate in the VITA program that I mentioned earlier. Or if you're interested in pursuing, maybe you're interested in pursuing your doctoral degree. So then maybe in the elective, you can choose to do an independent study where you can start a research project with a faculty member. Of course, the experiential learning as well, we plan to have a few trips that you can probably do during the summer of 2023. All these are all in the works, and that it's possible. I mentioned all that already. The top 8, the first 8 are the 8 required courses, and then the electives is where the flexibility come in. Where again, depending on what you want to do, if you want to have a global experience, you go ahead and do the study abroad. If you like to do the taxation, you do the practicum. Or if you want to do research or you want to do internship, you can do. There are a lot of options that you can do in terms of this program. So I just want to share some pictures that we took that when I took students to various places on field trips. If you look at the top right, let's look at the top right. The top right is during one of our trips to Chicago. The host institution is Charles Schwab. We visited one of the offices in Charles Schwab in Chicago, and they hosted us for an hour and a half over there. Getting into the other spectrum is the lower left. We're still in Chicago, as you can see, is the Global Council on Global Affairs. So we actually, again, during that same trip, we visited attended the event. This particular event that day, the president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas was interviewed, was providing insights about the energy prices in Texas. And then still talking about Chicago, the lower right, you'll see that we visited one of the exchanges. And then, as you can see, we took a picture in front of the bell. And if you can see in the far corner, there are some green and red kind of lighted numbers. Obviously, you cannot make up what the number is, but it's commodity prices. So we were actually at the exchanges where we actually see traders do the trading. You know, they do the hand signal about how they trade. Again, they cannot communicate by talking because it's so noisy, so they have to do hand signal. Okay. Let's do the middle part. The middle one on the top is BEP, as you can see. That's when I led a group of students to the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. So we learned how money is printed, paper money, and then a bunch of other things, and how to identify counterfeit and stuff like that. At the bottom, in the middle, is where we visited the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve. And over on the top left is still at the Federal Reserve. This particular room is the conference room where the Federal Open Market Committee, or FOMC, meets. You know, they decide about the interest rates. You hear that in the news about, oh, the Fed is holding interest rate steady, for example. Where did they make the decision? This is the room where they actually make the decision on interest rates. So this is pictures from China. Obviously, I downloaded from the web. So this is when we were initially planning to do our study abroad. We were planning to go to China to visit two cities. On the top left and the bottom right, those are just pictures and skyline of Shanghai. It's the financial center of China. And then on the top right, you'll see the Beijing skyline, and obviously a picture of the Great Wall of China. And then on the lower right is a picture of the high-speed rail. So initially the plan was to visit Beijing first, and then we will travel by high-speed rail or high-speed train from Beijing to Shanghai, just to get experience out of it. It's traveling at top speed of up to 320 kilometers per hour. So from Beijing to Shanghai, it literally takes about 4 hours to reach Shanghai from Beijing. So we're hopeful that in 2023, we will be able to we'll be able to do that trip. But in the meantime, this year, as I mentioned earlier, we will be traveling to the United Kingdom for a study abroad trip. More specifically, we're going to Nottingham, England, which is about 2.5 hours north of London. The school that we'll be visiting is Nottingham Trent University. So we will spend 15 days in the UK in July. We expect to have 6 to 8 participants at this point. And you know what? And each participant costs about $4,000 per student. But this time, when we are going for the trip, all the costs is covered by a grant that we have. So students go there for free, basically. Okay, this is I hope that we can sustain this for a longer time. We definitely can do this year, and we can probably cover it for next year. Maybe one more year beyond that. But beyond that, I don't know. 2024 or 2025, I'm not 100% sure. But I really hope that we can get the funding required to be able to keep this trip sustainable. So these are just some pictures of Nottingham, England. I believe the top one is one of the main campus building. I believe it's a business building right there, where you see the picture over there. And then this is the middle one with the reflection pond, I guess, is where it's downtown Nottingham. And then on the right is just one of the architectural buildings in Nottingham. And then on the bottom left is the map of showing where London is and where Nottingham is again, it's sort of like 11 o'clock from London, 2.5 hours away by bus. So we're gonna spend, after our trip in Nottingham, obviously we're gonna fly to London. So we really want to see London as well. So probably we're gonna spend 1 or 2 days in London before we fly back to the United States. So these are just places in London: Buckingham Palace, the Tower Bridge, and then the Thames River as well. So let's talk about why UDC. I know some of you are from UDC, but not necessarily all of you. But why UDC? So first of all, accreditation. We are currently accredited by ACBSP, and we are in pursuit of AACSB, and we expect to get the AACSB accreditation within the next year. So what does that mean? Now, only 5% of business school worldwide is accredited by AACSB. In other words, being accredited by AACSB just signifies about the quality of your programs and the qualifications of your faculty. Okay, so it is a prestigious way to think about what quality the program is at. And we have qualified faculty. At School of Business, greater than 95% of our faculty have doctorates. And among those in the accounting field, out of all our accounting faculty, 60% have CPAs. So they're licensed CPAs. The next thing is that we have a low faculty student ratio, currently at about 11:1. What does that mean? That means we have smaller classes where you are a little bit closer. I mean, social distance, obviously, but you are a little closer where you have, there's not, you have more accessibility to the faculty member, and a small class will actually allow you to be more engaged in the classroom discussion. Okay, where if you think about it, in some other schools out there, 60 students or even up to 100 students in one class. Imagine what kind of communication is that going to be? Mostly going to be one-way communication where the professor talks in the classroom. But again, with a small classroom, it's going to be more discussion-based or more two-way communication, so to speak. One thing about why UDC, the last thing I'm going to talk about is, and I'll elaborate more in the next slide, is affordability. According to affordableschools.net, we are the #1 ranked in terms of affordability in the nation. Okay, how is that? But let's talk about that. So let's say, UDC classifies student into 3 categories: DC resident, DC metro, and non-resident. So let's say if you are a student in Maryland, and if you choose to go to a Maryland school, for example, in this case, you go to College Park or you go to UMBC, as an in-state resident of Maryland, right? You pay $10,954 at UM's College Park, and you pay $12,028 in UMBC. You know what? As a Maryland resident, you qualify as what we call a DC Metro. So if you come to UDC, you only pay $9,836. That's cheaper than you going to an in-state institution. So what about you in Virginia? So, if you're in Virginia, if you look at, let's say you go to VCU, for example, you chose to go to VCU, then your in-state tuition is $14,710, where again, you're still the same. You'll be classified as a DC Metro. You'll pay $9,836. Of course, in this table, you can see if you go to choose, if you're a Virginia resident and you go to George Mason, sure, you get a cheaper rate. Of course, I'm not comparing it. Again, I'm not saying well cheaper all the way, but I'm just showing you what I found. Just so, but however, let's say you are a out of state. You're not from Virginia. You're not from Maryland. You're out of that this area. So you're considered out of state in those two state institutions. You will be paying upwards of $27,000 up to $36,000. At UDC, if you're classified non-resident, that means you're not neither DC resident or neither you're a DC Metro. You are considered non-resident. You only pay $17,000. So that's more than $10,000 less than the lowest comparable institution, which is in this case UMBC at $27,000. So that's the affordability on that side. So how about if you're a graduate student? So graduate students also paint a similar picture. So if you come to UDC as a debt resident, I'm not talking about resident. I'm still talking about in-state versus a metros for UDC. So if you are a Virginia resident going to George Mason, right, as an undergrad, but let's forget about undergrad now. You're going for grad school and you look at George Mason. If you're in-state, you pay $15,000 for an in-state going for a graduate degree at George Mason, in-state. And if you're a Virginia resident coming to UDC, you pay DC Metro and you pay $11,300. That's about $3,000 to $4,000 less than George Mason. It is more obvious when you look at even the difference is even greater if you look at if you're a Maryland resident and you're thinking about going to College Park for a graduate degree. Bear in mind, resident. You're a Maryland resident going to College Park. You're paying $25,620. As Maryland resident, you qualify for DC Metro. You come to UDC, you pay that same $11,300. That's more than 50% discount of what you're going to pay at UM College Park. I don't even want to talk about, I'll talk quickly about this, but this is for out of state versus other schools. These are not just restricted to Virginia anymore. It's going to be out of the other schools. And we're talking about anyone that's going from your non-resident state. So if you're talking about Virginia, then you're not a resident for Virginia. Therefore, you pay whatever the price. In this case, in Virginia, we're using George Mason, you're paying $25,000 plus. As a non-resident, you come to UDC for graduate degree, you only pay $18,600. And that's significantly less than all the other competitors that I have listed here. Note that I have listed not just the DMV area, I also listed a school in Florida, also listed a school in Pennsylvania. And we are at least $6,000 from the closest competitor, in this case, Penn State Harrisburg, about $5,000 to $6,000 lower than what their cost of tuition is, okay? So let's dive in a little bit. Why accounting finance? First of all, it's always in demand. It's always in demand. The Bureau of Labor Statistics predict that at the average job growth for accounting and finance job, it's about 10% over the next 10 years. And if you think accounting and finance, majoring in accounting and finance means that you're going to be working in the finance or accounting industry, that's where you are probably misled. You're actually mistaken. That's not true. All firms or all businesses, all companies, all need people in finance or accounting. So majoring in accounting or finance does not necessarily mean you will be working in that industry. You could be, let's say you graduate with a degree in accounting. You can be working for Nike. Nike is not an accounting firm, but it is a retail, is a manufacturing firm, but it still needs people to work in accounting and finance. Similarly in other firms as well. So again, don't be thinking about just majoring in finance and accounting. That means I have to be stuck in that industry for life. That's not true. You can move into the different industry, but you're still working in the same function. Let's talk about that. It's about functionality, not about your industry. You can sure work in the industry if you like it, but if you don't like it, you can switch to an industry. For example, let's say you like fashion, right? You major in accounting or finance. You know what? You can be working in the finance and accounting department for a fashion firm, for example, Vogue, whatever. I'm obviously not a fashion person, but that you get my point, okay? And our accounting program is endorsed by the IMA, which is the Institute of Management Accountants. That means it's in addition to our business school being accredited, specifically our accounting program goes through the similar rigorous review by the Institute of Management Accountants, and they endorse our curriculum. What does that mean? That means they're putting a seal of quality, right? Seal of excellence for the quality of our program. Now, we are the first university in DC to be endorsed. Okay, we're not the only one now. When we started, we were the first one. Now Howard University recently got endorsed. So we're not the only one, but we're the first university in DC to be endorsed. And we are the third HBCU nationwide to be endorsed. So again, we're getting the quality, and we're getting the first mover advantage, if you will. So where do our graduates go? So some of our graduate placement have gone to, many of our graduates and alums have gone to KPMG, EY, Deloitte, PwC. These are the four, I guess, the big four accounting firms. If you're in accounting, you know that. They have also gone to DC government as well. There's different branches of DC government. Some of them also continued on with their studies and gone to grad schools. So they gone to Cornell, UC Davis, American, Georgetown, etc. So again, there are a lot of options after graduation. If you want to work, you get into your career of your choice. If you want to pursue further, you can still go to grad school. There are various scholarship opportunities out there, and these are just a list of these are the major scholarships that we have now, but all these scholarships are not currently open. So I'm going to just talk about the scholarship that is currently open, which I highlight is the Don Dean Scholarship. And this will start in the fall of 2022. The applications is currently open, and it's only for accounting and or finance students only, okay? That means if you're not majoring in accounting or finance at the Van Ness campus, you're not eligible for it. And this scholarship is not a one-time scholarship. It is a multiple semester scholarship. Okay, so it's going to be up to 2,000 if you qualify, and if you receive it, it will be up to 2,000 every semester, starting in the fall, all the way through December of 2024. Okay, so if you come in the next 2 to 3 years, if you receive the scholarship, you can continue to receive the scholarship for 6 times, up to 6 times. I'll explain a little more on the next one. So again, you must be pursuing BBA in accounting and finance, and in fall 2022 to be eligible. You need to be GPA 2.0 or higher. So if you're interested, you can apply. Those are 2 requirements. The first is to submit a FAFSA application for the 2022-2023 academic year, and you have to designate UDC as your school. And then you submit an application through this link. That's 2 things that you need to do. The deadline is June 1st. Now, some of you might be asking, if I'm not a UDC student or if I'm not from the Van Ness campus, so what is the requirement? The only requirement is, let's say you are a community college in Maryland right now. Are you eligible? Yes, you're eligible. But you're only eligible if you apply for admission to UDC for fall 2022, majoring in accounting or finance. Then you're eligible. Does that make sense? So you can apply, and then when the time comes in August, you are matriculated into UDC, and you're eligible, and you got the scholarship. The money will be applied into your account automatically during the appropriate time. Okay. There are a lot of internship opportunities right now. Again, I did not list all of them, but these are just a few highlights that we have. There are other different opportunities for internships as well. Again, if you have questions about internship, I'll elaborate separately. But so far, this is what I have for now. Any question? I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then I'll allow you to. I'll check whether if I can see any questions from the chat. Okay, there is none. So good. So there's no questions from the chat. So is there any questions from anyone from the audience? Go ahead.
Yeah, this Eden. Okay. So I have a bachelor degree in accounting, but it's from abroad, another country, from Ethiopia. And currently I'm studying nursing and I'll be graduating next year in here. So I was thinking, since I was started nursing school, I was thinking to double major, but I wasn't received enough information how I do that. So I didn't did that. So I was wondering how can I do that?
Okay, so you're doing the BSN?
Yeah, but
okay.
this no, the what's called
the associate. Are you doing the associates?
Yes.
Okay, you're doing the associates. Okay, so there are a couple of
associate.
ways.
Oh, sorry. You asking me about associate right now? What I'm doing or what I have planned?
Right now, what are you doing?
The nursing is associate, but my accounting and finance
I got
is
it.
bachelor. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are a few options. One is you can apply to pursue your accounting degree. We will transfer some of your courses from your previous institution, and then you can then get your bachelor's degree from a U.S. school. Or if you want, you can apply to the master's degree in accounting if you want to pursue the master's degree. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so that means I already evaluated from World Education Service.
Great. So let's do this. So if you have already have your transcript is evaluated, you can get in touch with me. Send me an email. Attach your transcript. I will review it. And then if you are interested to do, let's do this. Let me look at your transcript and then I'll recommend what is the best way to pursue your accounting side. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Just shoot me an email. You have my contact information?
I think, yeah.
Okay, let me do this. Let me type in my email address on the chat.
Okay.
I just typed it in. So or if you missed it, just search it out on UDC. You should be able to see my email address. And then email me, and then we can get in touch.
All right. Thank you so much.
Sure. Any other questions? Andrew, any question? Or Melina? None?
No questions at this time, but an excellent presentation.
Okay. Tarina, you have no question? Okay.
Yeah, it was very thorough.
Good. So again, I don't know, again, if questions arise up, feel free to shoot me an email and we can jump in the Zoom call to talk about it. The idea is to provide you guys as much information as I can so that you can make informed decision. Okay. Andrew, how about you? Any questions specifically? Okay. So I guess, so let me stop recording